how are you? This is the popular broadcaster and comedian Mark Dolan on a sofa somewhere. And I'd like to talk to you about my approach to corporate events and my experience of doing corporate events. I think I must have done my first corporate maybe 15 years ago. And I have had a long and happy partnership with the amazing Speaker's Corner. And essentially, here are my sort of do's and don'ts. First of all, I think some performers see doing corporate events as just an extension of what they do in their normal jobs, whether it's as a TV presenter or a comedian. That's not how I view it. I view it as a different job. It's separate. It's a whole different thing. And anybody that sort of takes it lightly and walks into it blind will quickly discover that it's a whole different world, and you've got to kind of tailor the whole thing to the event that you're being the face of. The biggest challenge for a comedian performing at a corporate event is how to capture the essence of what works in a comedy club, which obviously entertains people, with the parameters of a corporate environment, whether it's an awards bash or whatever the event. And you know, it's really, really tricky, because we all know that ultimately, if the comedian offends someone at a corporate event, well, that person, and we don't want to offend anyone anyway, but it could be a VIP client, it could be a sponsor. The ramifications are huge, and I think it's the number one concern of people organising events, that a comedian might do that. We know that comedy is, you know, it's an untamed beast. It's I guess, you know, there is a degree of jeopardy involved. But the flip side is, of course, that jeopardy is attractive, and what a comedian must do is tone down their act, definitely not offend anybody, but still keep the bite, keep that, you know, wonderful sort of edge. How does a comedian be funny but also keep it clean and not offend people? Well, here are my top tips. First of all, ask the client. They will know. Also, finding out the makeup of the audience is really, you know, helpful. Subject matter is a big one, which is, it's quite obvious really not to go for stuff which is dark and depressing, because whatever the event, it's normally going to be a joyful, happy occasion. So we probably don't want to dwell on terrorism, disease, war, dark criminal behaviour, you know. So I think that sort of subject matter doesn't have a place at really any corporate event I can think of. Judgment is the key one, maybe the most important, and that is that when you're out there, see how it's going. And that is a set of skills that comedians generally have anyway, because they have to do it, you know, every time they perform. But what you do is you read the crowd, and if it's going well and everyone's happy and you've got laughter and smiling eyes, then you're doing the right thing, it's going great. And if people are going ooh and not laughing, then it's time to change tack. So that's it really. Those are Mark Dolan's top tips when it comes to approaching a corporate event. There are 8 million other areas that we could discuss, but I think that sort of is, you know, a distillation of how I think a comedian approaches doing what they do in a different environment.